overhead. He just got on the nose of the board and hung 10 with his front hands while on all fours, and she was behind him like with a leather leash
slapping him
back on him. Like that's what I want to see in a tandem event, right? Like Mike would have done that, I think. So I don't know what my criteria was. I can't remember, but I looked at that list not too long ago, and I thought it was. I actually thought it was okay, but
it's a great list.
I think had what you described just happened, that would definitely top the list.
Yeah,
I'd be a bit nervous to see what the ripple effect of that would be.
Bondage and surfing.
What's
Two
that?
great taste. Bondage and surfing. Two great tastes that taste weird together.
That maybe the leash would have come out a bit earlier.
I know. Or maybe we'd have better leashes.
Well done.
Or better wetsuits.
Oh, more stylish wetsuits.
Better surf wax, all sorts of things.
All right, I was going to go to a place. I'm not going there. I was going to.
Well, so that brings us to the next one. So we've basically been going through each one at a time and discussing whether we thought it was worthy of the list. So far, I think it was been 50-50, I think. But we're coming up to Steph Gilmore winning the first world title. And I'm reading it, and I'm curious, why was that a big event? It doesn't quite say it in this paragraph here.
Shit, can you read back what I wrote? I can't remember. What did it say?
So it said, Steph Gilmore wins first world title 2007. Among world surfing champions, Steph is the great unifier. Pick your criteria.
Right. That's right.
But so it's because she was the great unifier.
It was right. It was this. I remember when Steph won that title that there wasn't anybody that didn't think she was the right person for the right title. And, everybody seemed happy with that result in a way that I hadn't seen or seen for quite some time. Is that the list? Is that the one that leads me to our sub
list? That leads into your sub list, which we'll get into.
So that's why I put about Steph, that I don't think you would have found a person in all of surfdom that didn't feel like that she deserved that title and that she was a fantastic world champion.
I guess I also agree. I was just wondering, why was that a watershed moment type of thing, like the other ones were?
Oh man, it's a lot of things, Jamie. With all this, if you're gonna poke at it too hard, it'll just sort of come down like a sand. The joint, gets written. I'm in the middle of one right now. I come in here in an afternoon, and I usually don't know where it's going to go. I have a couple of things on a whiteboard, which this is today's whiteboard, but I've already erased the stuff off of it.
Do you want to spoil it for us, huh?
Right. So I have a few things on a whiteboard, but I often will ignore them. So I don't know, and then I write it over in like a hot 2 or 3 hours. Then I had to make all the little graphics that go on it and stuff. But, and then, like I say, it kind of goes out of my head pretty quickly because tomorrow I'm off to whatever the next thing is. So,
and that's why it is so fun to read. Interestingly, this is actually take 2 of tonight's podcast, because the first take, we were reading way too much from the script, and I like the whiteboard. And I think next week when I go back to school, I might take one home from class, and that's what we should probably use.
It's funny. I had this other whiteboard because you guys.
Oh my God. For those who aren't able to watch this, it's a much bigger whiteboard that is extremely detailed.
But that whiteboard is so
like almost.
It's so big. I actually have 2 of those. So I bought 2 of these whiteboards.
Oh my gosh.
So I've got 2 whiteboards, and they ended up being too big. I tried to use them. So I got my little whiteboard for the Sunday joint, and it's perfect. I use it like every day. I put little notes on it for the joint, right? And then every Sunday, at the end of the joint, I kind of erase it, and it feels like it's out of my system, and I'm back and I'm on to the next.
It's a bit like a wave, a bit like riding a wave.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Bring it back.
Riding wave.
Yeah.
Well, I would agree that Steph should be on this. I'm at the top of this list. We discuss what we would define as our biggest moments. And I was very similar. I'm like, these events have to have ripple effects and have influence over culture. Some of them I disagree with, but that's okay. And, we'll get to that. But this one, Steph, absolutely on so many levels, not just the unifying, but the fact that her reign, this is the start of her reign as like queen of not just women surfing, just surfing in general. And I would also argue like, and this, I hope this comes out okay, but it feels like Steph Gilmore made it okay for a lot of misogynistic men in surfing to say she fucking rips, and made it okay for them to say it for other people eventually. It like broke a social norm where a lot of guys would hold back more, and I'm not saying not to me. I think I always like to acknowledge that a little bit more, I'm a little bit more progressive, I like to think. But, there were a lot of guys who wouldn't acknowledge it and would always talk poorly of women surfing. And I think Steph took women surfing to the next level of legitimacy that, in certain surfers' eyes. And that really opened a lot of doors it opened the floodgates. Yeah. And now it's just like, shit, man, you watch the Surf Ranch Pro, I'd much rather watch a woman surf it than a men. They're so much more enjoyable to watch surfing that wave. Give me Steph Gilmore over Gabe any day at that wave, Yeah,
so you're trying to actually direct this back to the ranch because I know that you're a
rancher.
No, because I don't want to go there.
I'm just saying.
Right.
I don't want to watch any of the Surf Ranch. What was the wave that Steph Gilmore got the perfect 10 on? Was it last year?
Canggu, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Chung.
Karamas, right?
Karamas,
yeah.
Karamas.
That wave was insane.
So I don't want to see because I think I put this in the joint a while back, like that amazing. There's this money shot of Steph riding in the tube at Surf Ranch with her fingers are all sort of up in the lip.
Yes.
She's got the beaming look on her face and all that. And it's a great moment. It's a beautiful picture, but I use that moment as a way to sort of take down the whole point of the ranch, with the Surf Ranch, which was like, that ought to be a really special singular moment. And I was saying like, 10 waves in a row, she could do that. Right. What really got all up in my heart and soul was that wave at Karamas when I think, check me on this, but she came off and she did was that the one where she did like a big top turn and then just did this huge massive kickstall and got tubed and sort of came out and did so she
huge
had to improvise that whole wave, right?
Yeah.
And she did it so well, and she could stay out in the water at Karamas for 17 more days and not ride a wave like that. And that's what I admire. Not the only thing, but that's one of the things I love about her. She, she's a great, she responds really well to, especially when she's excited and the waves are good. So Snapper or Honolua or Karamas, when she's really feeling it, she's a beautiful and very spontaneous surfer. And that's what I love seeing that.
Well, I would say Steph in my eyes is like a Jedi master in surfing. The force is strong with her, and it's there's this lineage of like her, Curran, Slater, even McFanning. Like they can ride any board too, and mostly, well, take Slater off that list, but the rest could ride almost any board and make it look good, and they could just jump on anything and just make it look good. Slater on a twin fin looks awful, by the way. Proper fish.
What movie did he ride a table in?
Oh, that was Fair Bits. That was the Taj Burrow movie that was done by the Malloy bro. Not Chris Malloy, but Emmett Malloy and all those guys.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
So we're going here, though, but there's a sub list because in your joint, you then make this really nice sub list where let me read it off real quick. Among World Surfing Champs, Steph is a great unifier. Pick your criteria, but there are actually only a handful of title holders who can lay claim to being undisputed. Surfers whose heads fit snugly and comfortably beneath the crown. We're in the middle of the list here, but I have made another list, just like John Cusack in High Fidelity. a champion's ranked by undisputedness. So
yeah,
number
this
one,
is like the type of conversation you have on a long drive, or if you're sitting around with a spliff. Like this is
so
you can argue this.
it's
So
great.
you're just
though.
starting the sub list right now, right? So we're
Yeah.
just getting into the sub
We're
list.
just getting into the sub list. So number one on your sub list of undisputed world champs ranked in undisputedness.
Top of the list.
Top of the list. Smelly
Wait, do you want to go
skate.
down from 10 and work up?
Oh, right. Jesus, Jamie. Okay.
No, because the top ones it's
Top
actually
ones
I think
matter.
more fun to, I don't know.
Okay.
Either way, flip a
Number
coin.
one, Kelly Slater. Number two, Mark Richards. Number three, Tom Curran. Number four, Steph Gilmore. Number five, Nat Young. Number six, Margot Oberg. Number seven, Tom Carroll. Number eight, Lisa Anderson. Number nine, but it says 19 next to it on your website. You might have a typo you need to fix there. Rolf Arness. And number 10, Lane Beachley. Now, I only have maybe two people on this list I would remove from it.
Let's see if we can guess who those are.
But you also, I'm sure you also
Matt
have
knows
ones that you think I missed, right?
Of course, I would replace.
Right.
There's two people on the list, maybe 1 to 2 people on this list I would replace.
One first.
Okay, the first one, Rolf Arness. While I have mad respect for him, and I think he's a very important surfer in U.S. surf history, I would say Frida Zamba over him. I would put Frida Zamba in that list. I don't think Rolf Arness should be in that list. I think there are other worthy. And number two, how can you forget AI, Andy Irons, everyone? Even though Slater was there challenging him, he was fucking dominating.
Okay.
Here we go. That's right. I'm ready. I'm
ready.
Right. Bring it.
So Rolf Arness, 1970 world title holder, who won the title at age 18 and really just kind of vanished. So, and that's a whole sad saga. We'll talk about it some other time, but
butt juice.
The reason I put him on the list is that every heavy hitter was at that contest. Bells, then they moved it to Johanna. And everyone there that I've talked to and people that I've read about said the contest was a shit show. The waves were bad. The organization was no good. The politics were, everything about it was just pretty skewed and just, it didn't work. It didn't hang together, except for the fact that Rolf won in really good surf on like the last 4 heats of the whole event. They moved to Johanna and the surf was really good. And Rolf just ran the field. He ran the field even before when the surf wasn't good. He won every heat he was in. He had the best board. He had the best attack. And Wayne Lynch and Corky Carroll and Nat Young and everyone I've talked to said Rolf was the best guy. He deserved the win. And there was nobody that didn't think he won it. So I guess that's what I like when I talk about like a unanimous thing, like, any other title we can think of apart from maybe some of Kelly's and Mark's, somebody will say, oh, but so-and-so surfed better, that year or something. And nobody said that about Rolf.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it was
surfing better than Frida Zamba circa 1986.
Okay, so in other words, you're not going to do. So in other words, that one we've moved on from Rolf, right?
No, I'm saying I would replace Rolf with Frida. I think she's more deserving than Rolf.
You might put Rolf at number 11.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a spot, but top 10, I think there are other people I would place ahead of him.
So so Frida, I agree. One of my favorite.
Now she could be on tour right now. Even
no. So one of the there's a lot I love about Frida, but one of the things I loved the most was I don't know how many years after she'd kind of retired, maybe it was 3 or 4, but she came back west one year and won the OP Pro again. Like you did it going away. Like she beat Lisa and everybody. Yeah. And it was definitely the last time I ever sat on a bleacher at Huntington to watch a surf contest.
Lucky you.
But she was the best. And I don't know if she was, I don't even think she was on tour that year. She just surfed a couple contests. She was better than all of them, more confident, more relaxed. And I thought to myself, gosh, she should be back on tour. She could win 3 or 4 more titles if she wanted to. But every year that Frida won, and she deserved all those 4 titles, every year she won, there was somebody else that was in the conversation about like could have
Cam
been
Burridge.
started with